Hello, folks. This is Kevin from Good Day, Good Prayers. On yesterday's show, we started to talk about the art of war. Now, the art of war is a specific group of principles that you have to look at in order to be able to decide exactly how you're going to fight your battles. And each battle then is either going to be a victory or a loss. Every situation that you wind up into, whether it's a World War III, such as what we've been fighting for many years now, or whether it's any other war, we are going to be taking a look at the things that will happen. On yesterday's show, we took a look at the two most important corridors. The first corridor was in the 1990s, and the other one began to take place after the year 2012. And so we're going to take a further look into these today so that we have an idea of exactly where everything has gone and how everything is doing. Now, the goal of fighting a perfect World War III is to minimize the number of people who die on the face of the earth. The other thing that is the goal of the people in charge, as well as the people themselves, you and I, is to keep the Battle of Armageddon from ever taking place. If the war goes properly, it is possible that we can stop the things from ever escalating to the Battle of Armageddon. One of those things, of course, is prayer. Jesus said, "This kind cometh out but by prayer and fasting." And that is one reason, and I'm very certain of it, why the Lord has had me on DSR chats talking about fasting. There we talk about intermittent fasting, dieting, health, and we also have a life series over there where we have done 12 videos. There's a lot of things over there to see and a lot of things to kind of understand. But another thing that I want to share with you is that I'm starting to do show notes where it says description. Instead of just a description, I am now giving you show notes. As far as the art of war is concerned, as far as World War III is concerned, as I said yesterday, some will tell you it started within a couple of years after World War II ended. Others will tell you, no, it didn't start until 1963 when President Kennedy was shot in November of that year. But we need to understand the two sides. The alliance was formed from the death of President Kennedy. There was 79 people in the Pentagon that decided that they needed to stop what had been happening over the last several centuries. The globalists, the deep state, their job was to kill, to end the population on the face of the earth. And so everything has to happen in steps. In the 1990s, the globalists said things such as, our plan has gone too far, and it is too late for anybody to be able to stop it. Today, the alliance says that what is coming cannot be stopped. It's very interesting because now the other side is actually saying that. Well, what has happened over those years? In the 1990s, when the globalists were content to go slow and collect up all of the property, all of the money, all of the valuables that were in society, Well, it was fine for them to go slow. Now, in the 1990s, there was a group of people that called themselves the militia, and they happened all across the United States. There were hundreds of militia. Each state had its own number of militia, and these people were out there, and they were more than willing to give their lives to protect America. At that time, they were listening to what Nelson Rockefeller was saying. They were listening to what George Herbert Walker Bush was saying, and many of these other people, and they realized that we were getting ready to see the end-time prophecy take place. But it was also very clear that the people who were in charge of the governments had signed contracts to kill the American people first, and then the rest of the people in the world. As we said yesterday, and we have said many times, there's about 6 to 8% of the world's population that was to survive, and they would then be the servants to the globalists. What has happened in the subsequent years? Number one, there were a number of research teams. Many of them were in various military facilities, but there were also independent research teams. I told you about the research team that I was on and how that we were attacked, and some of the people on our research team were murdered. They were murdered by the Deep State. Well, everything began to really become interesting in 2012. It was in 2012 when the globalists began to make their brags of how many people were going to survive in the United States. It was a very low number. We were going to go from almost 300 million people down to something in the vicinity of 30 million people. And these people were going to be necessary people that had specific talents and abilities. And then the rest of the nations were going to be wiped out, except for a few people in the nation of China. And those were going to be more or less the worker bees, the slaves. And God only knows what those people would have been put through. But the Alliance had a different idea. The Alliance in 2017 had grown to the point where it was in 6 or 7 nations. It wasn't just in the U.S. anymore. And they began to arrest the globalists. It was the top families in the world first, your Rockefellers and Rothschilds. And then they began to take out people like the Clintons and the Bushes and that group of people. And they more or less went on down the line. A lot of those people were taken out, and thanks to the central casting, those people were able to stay on the stage. Unfortunately, those were fake people. A lot of people in Hollywood were actually being taken out. A lot of people in the music industry were being taken out. In fact, you see a lot of these people that are doing movies, and they're doing CGI type movies. They're not doing actual acting movies anymore. And the biggest reason for that is because so many of them just don't exist. But it was a dirty little secret that those people were gone. A dirty little secret for them, not for the Alliance. The Alliance was the one that was doing the arresting. They were the ones that were doing the military tribunals. And people who were even private citizens were facing tribunals. People from other countries were facing tribunals. The JAG, which is the group of people that try the cases, we're trying the cases of a lot of different people around the world. Tomorrow we're going to talk about the things that the alliance has now gotten under control. We're going to also do some talking about some of the weather, the doom weapons, and a lot of those kinds of things, as well as geoengineering. And we're also going to get into the EBS, Emergency Broadcasting System. This is Kevin from Good Day, Good Prayers. I want you to have a good day, and a good day will always start with good prayers. And if they reach the throne of God, well, those are, in fact, good prayers, aren't they? And that is your key to anything that you may pray for. So with that said, you have a good day.